Hi, and welcome to another episode of Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist. I am your host, Dennis Richkovsky. Some of you recognize me as the co-owner of Flip Flops Donuts, and some of you know me as your broker of real estate, someone who specializes in waterfront and water view properties along the Crystal Coast, especially on Bogue Banks and in my town of Emerald Isle, North Carolina. On this channel, you will find essential information from the inside scoops on buying and selling houses to how to live with the ocean, rivers, and sounds that define the Crystal Coast. Today's episode is all about shrimp. This small crustacean is a large industry along the Crystal Coast, and whether you visit here occasionally or live here full-time, shrimp is a story that deserves telling. But before I begin, please subscribe to my video channel now or at the end of this episode. As the sun sets over the horizon along the Crystal Coast, you can see hard-working shrimpers cast their first skimmer trawls into the calm coastal waters this time of the year. Steadily, they guide their boats through the same shallow waters that have provided a livelihood for fishermen in this area for nearly 400 years. Shrimp is the nation's most popular seafood and the second most economically important fishery in North Carolina. The state's commercial shrimp fleet is comprised primarily of small to medium-sized vessels that fish overnight in the internal waters of the state's southern coastal region and in the tributaries of larger water bodies in the central and northern coastal regions. This region's relatively warm ocean waters, strong tidal currents, and proximity to rivers and creeks create an ideal environment for producing high-quality shrimp. Three types of shrimp are generally available in North Carolina. Pink shrimp, called spotted, grow to about 11 inches and are generally harvested from April to June. White shrimp, also called green tail, grow to about 8 inches and are available from August to November. Brown shrimp is the most abundant species, accounting for 2/3 of the shrimp landed on the Crystal Coast and are available year-round with peaks in summer. Brown shrimp are flavorful and sweet and offer a firm texture and strong shrimp flavor. Raw shrimp meat is translucent pink to gray. When cooked, the shells are pinkish red and the meat is pearly white with pink and red shadings. Shrimp are low in saturated fat and an excellent source of protein, selenium, and vitamin B12. Here along the Crystal Coast, brown shrimp live in shallow waters, marshes, and estuaries, generally less than 180 feet deep when they are very young because it is safe. Inshore, they prefer areas with plenty of food, a muddy or peaty bottom that is rich in organic matter and decaying vegetation. Shrimp grow very quickly, doubling in size every few weeks. As they grow, they migrate seaward to deeper, saltier water up to 360 feet deep. When shrimp are almost fully grown, they swim out of the estuaries and into the ocean, where they prefer soft bottoms of sand and mud. Shrimp travel primarily at night, especially at or shortly after dusk, and they bury themselves during the day. Brown shrimp are crustaceans with 10 slender, relatively long walking legs and 5 pairs of swimming legs located on the front surface of the abdomen. They are grooved on the back surface of the shell and have a well-developed toothed rostrum that extends to or beyond the outer edge of the eyes. The tails of brown shrimp usually have a purple to reddish purple band and green or red pigmentation. Brown shrimp's growth depends on factors such as water temperature and salinity, and they can reach up to 7 inches in length. Brown shrimp are able to reproduce when they reach about 5.5 inches long. Brown shrimp spawn in relatively deep ocean water. Females typically release about 500,000 to 1 million eggs near the ocean floor. Peak spawning is in spring and summer, with newly hatched shrimp carried by tides and wind-driven currents into our estuaries in February and March to settle into their nursery habitats. Shrimp are considered an annual crop because they do not live very long, only about 2 years. The amount of shrimp we have varies from year to year depending on the weather. If we have a very cold winter, then we will have a small shrimp population the following spring. If we have lots of rain, then the shrimp will move out into the ocean before they are fully grown. Brown shrimp account for 67% of North Carolina's shrimp catch and are the second most economically important fishery in North Carolina. Most brown shrimp are caught with trawl nets in our sounds and rivers. Despite the availability of fresh, local, wild-caught shrimp, roughly 500 million pounds a year, a number of restaurants and supermarkets along the Crystal Coast and elsewhere sell shrimp sourced from outside North Carolina, and some even from outside the country, especially from Thailand. This is a detriment not only to the fishing families that have called Carteret County home for generations, but also to the tourists who expect local shrimp and seafood when they visit here. Fortunately, the tide is turning in the favor of local fishermen, and that is a good thing, because there is nothing like the sweetness, firmness, and full flavor of a wild-caught Carolina brown shrimp. So what is the best way to enjoy fresh Carolina brown shrimp? In these days of social distancing, the safest way is to visit your favorite fishmonger, in my case, Captain Willis, and purchase 2 pounds shell-on, large shrimp, with the shells split up the back and the shrimp deveined. Head's optional. In a large pot of salted boiling water, cook the shrimp until opaque throughout, about 4 to 5 minutes. In a separate pan, melt a couple of teaspoons of butter. Drain and transfer a shrimp to a bowl. Add butter and a couple of teaspoons of Old Bay seasoning and toss to coat. Serve warm or at room temperature. If you're feeling more adventurous, I recommend you head out over to the Big Oak Drive-In in Salter Path and order up a delicious shrimp burger. If you've liked what you learned about the North Carolina Crystal Coast today, please subscribe to my channel below and return next week to the same bat channel at the same bat time of 9 a.m. on Thursday for another episode of Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist.